Hello there. Well, it's Fiona from Weekly Sewing Bee, and it might have been a whole week ago I started making a video, and it was of this dress, and all I've done is, with the overlocker, a simple rectangle, is I've sewn down two bits together, and I've sewn down the bottom. Now the reason I've sewn the bottom is this, so it's got some grip. I know, it made sense to me. Now, this evening I have set up the machine and sort of worked out how I'm going to sew it. And all my struggles and everything else like that of stretch stitches and zigzag stitches, I've come to the conclusion what I'm going to do is what I tell you not to do, is stretch the fabric. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of string. Oh, I haven't told you the design. It's very, very simple. Very simple. And the design of this dress is elasticated round the top and elasticated just under the top. Oh, I've only got a Sharpie. And then it's just really, really simple. So, I know, but what I've done is I've just sewn the string there, and I'm going to sew string in first, and then I'm going to put elastic in. And all I'm doing is I'm turning this over, and I'm ignoring the seam so that I can get my elastic in, and I'll be feeding the string through the gap. So I know, how simple is that? And I think what I'll do is I'll exclude the front of the video because I've just explained it all. Now this is probably the worst fabric you're ever going to sew, so, which is fine. I'm just getting it going in a simple running stitch, and I have my string in my hem, and then I'm going to fold over my hem. Now this is for a holiday in a really hot country, and I'm not very good with the heat, so yeah, it's all good fun. But it's kind of like a half-finished project, and we all know and we all hate those half-finished projects, don't we? So I'm all set up. All I've literally got to do is sew and stretch. Now technically what we're supposed to do is we've got, oh, I so want to draw. Okay, so the basis of the dress is rectangle with a piece of elastic and then another piece of elastic. And I'm sewing while stretching the cloth on a running stitch, which is not what you're supposed to do. You do have choices. On this dial it's kind of shaped like that, and that's your stretch stitch for your stretch fabric, which stops it from stretching. But what I want is to be able to stretch it and not break the thread. So I could also do this one. That would work, and it doesn't on this fabric. So, I know, just literally fabric that is nice to sew, get your stitch set up at the right spacing, and then sew on nasty fabric. Okay, which is this, look. Looks like it's been through the wash, or the hedge or something. So yes, that's how I'm going to do it. Rather than sew the elastic straight in, I'm going to sew string in, and then I'm going to measure the elastic I need and tie the string off and pull the string through. I'm making it as simple as possible for myself, and it's literally a case of lining it up and a couple of stitches and with a stretch on the fabric. So you can see there's just a tiny hem there. Okay, so I've got my sewing to do, and I'll be right back with you. Hiya! Oh, it's so difficult, honestly. This must be the most difficult thing I've done in ages. So if you stretch it, it rolls. If you stretch it and then sew it, and it's fine. So yeah, it is just a matter of getting there. So I'm just coming up to the end now, and yeah, I'm going to leave myself a decent size hole to sort out the elastic, and the next bit should be a bit easier. So what I want to do is I want to fold in another piece of elastic. So if I turn the dress inside out, and yes, there is a measurement. Okay, so I need it to be there. Now all I'm going to do again is put that there, and then I'm going to sew round with my piece of string in there again. Okay, and this one should be an awful lot easier, real lot easier. So okay, obviously I'm going to start at the seam because I just want to keep it as neat as possible, and I might actually use a safety pin this time rather than yeah, let's just use a pin. So, and that's to hold the end of the string, because there's no point attempting to do it with the string without the actual bit there. Okay, so that's an update. I know, I don't know if it's very interesting at all. Anyway, I'm determined to finish. So I've put my string in there, and I can feel it quite clearly. I'm going to put it under the machine. I'm going to put the shorter side upwards so that I can see it, so that I know that I'm going level. Now of course you could do this with pins. I can't see it would be any easier, but you could do it with pins, you know, you really could. And then I'm just going to follow it round. Okay, so I'll be back in a bit. Well, I must admit, the second one was so easy. Yeah, a joy to do. Did I just unthread the machine then? Oh, what am I like? Let's see if that stays. I don't think it will. No. Okay, well, you know, the second was brilliant up until then. And as soon as I put my foot down, I unthreaded the machine. So, which I do, you know, we can't say that I don't, because I do it quite a lot. And I was thinking about getting a new machine actually. I know it seems really sacrilegious because my mum gave me this machine, but it's not broken or anything. It's never going to break, you know. Still be working in 200 years, even though the way I treat it. Okay, so when I said at the beginning what I was going to do is I was going to run round, or I had previously run round with the overlocker, just to give myself something to sew. So I obviously knew it was going to be difficult, but I did find that first one very difficult. And again, what I don't want to do is to suddenly sort of rip it or rip the seams. I think that would be the worst thing that could happen. So I'm going to sew it on a stretch, and I have no idea how well you can see this. I'm literally stretching the bit I'm going to sew, but I'm not stretching the other bits first, and I'm literally holding it in. So in a way it might be a good idea to actually take the teeth off at the bottom of the sewy thing. So, and then just making sure that everything's not overstretched or anything, and literally carefully placing each stitch. And it does work, and I know this way it won't ping, because even if I did it with the cross stitch, if I stretched it, it would just sort of break, and then worst case scenario, I haven't got much around me. So yeah, pretty much just placing it and sewing it. So if I leave that end in, what I can then do is come up to the top, and I need to find both ends of my bit of string. So my bit of string is actually sewn in on one end. So I now know that I've got two ends of the string. And I take one piece of my elastic, and I am literally, this is what I'd call a reef knot, and I'm not worried if it's twisted or anything. I just need it to be quite firm. There we go. And with my other end of string, very carefully pull it through. And when I've actually got to the end, I can then just knot both ends. So just getting it started now. So there we are. I can get rid of all this string so that it doesn't confuse me on the next one, and all I've got to do is tie these together. Or I can run a couple of stitches over it. What I will be doing is I will be re-sewing that hole. So what I'll do is I'll sew that elastic in, but let's get rid of that for a minute. Turn it slightly inside out so I can find my other two bits of string. So I started on the seam. There should be still a pin in there as well. And just grab that, get rid of the pin. Hopefully I can do the same again. Now I must admit I've got one piece of string going in and two pieces coming out, so that's what the delay was there. It was my brain trying to work it all out. Yes, but then, you know, who knows? So just teasing it through now. Because if you just pull it too hard, then you end up with just a knot. So I can see where the extra one is coming from, and I can get rid of that. That's still attached to the ball. So now that it's cut, yes, I was very careful not to cut the wrong bit of string. And then it's very simple, I'm just pulling it through now, so. There we go, so the elastic is kind of halfway round, and now all I'm doing is I'm literally sliding the cloth over the knot. And there we are. So now I have my 2 bits of elastic. I can get that tied off. And what I'm doing is I'm tying off the elastic, and then I'm going to take that knot out of the string, because it's so easy to do when you're fiddling around with something to actually just trash your own work. And yeah, I can do that with a picker. So now what I need to do is I need to get rid of all this excess string. I need to tidy up my ends, and of course I need to finish the bottom part of the hem. So that's me, that's my job done. Okay, so I'll switch back on, probably only in 5 minutes time. Hello again. So I am literally just sewing the last piece, and then it's done. Just making sure that I'm sewing over the elastic as well. I know. Okay, that's the noise it's going to make when it goes over the elastic, and I'm going to make sure all my woofy bits are all in, because we can. Alrighty, so harder than it looks really. I was quite surprised how much work and how difficult this was. I'd sewn t-shirt material before. This is kind of shiny, and yes, these are all loose so we can get that level. But there we go, a tiny maxi dress. Okay, thank you ever so much for watching. Please like, subscribe and share. Like, subscribe and share. Thank you ever so much.